full-blown COVID outbreak. So since week 11, 24 players have been placed on the reserve COVID-19 list. Currently, 5 players remain there, unavailable tonight. But lucky for the Ravens, they're getting some of their best players back just in time to play the Cowboys as they push for the playoffs. Mike Giardi's in Baltimore for us tonight with more on the Ravens. Mike.
Colleen, Ravens obviously very excited to get Lamar Jackson back, but not really sure what kind of player they're going to get, considering he's only had one full practice in the last 2 weeks, that coming on Saturday. Greg Roman, the offense coordinator, said that he was fully engaged, Lamar was, in virtual meetings for the last 2 weeks and taking part both in practice, tape watching after, and obviously game planning as they try to figure out the best way to attack the Dallas Cowboys and move forward. Of course, it's been 3 straight losses for the Ravens and 4 of their last 5 as they have fallen currently out of the playoff picture. They need to get back in business tonight, and Lamar will help lead the way.
Absolutely. Having Lamar out there definitely helps their chances to break this 3-game losing streak. Thank you, Mike. We'll talk to you in just a little bit. So that's the good news for Baltimore. The bad news, they watched all of the other teams in the AFC playoff hunt win on Sunday. The Browns, Dolphins, Colts, Raiders, and Patriots all took care of business. So the Ravens, still the 9 seed on the outside looking in. But as I mentioned, Baltimore is getting many of its players back, including their quarterback, and we're getting our players back in here. Steve Smith Sr., Joe Thomas, Michael Irvin. We're getting the band back together. It's great to see you guys. It's been a little too long. So will the Ravens, Steve, get back on track with Lamar returning tonight?
That is a fantastic question, and Michael Irvin may not like this, but they're playing the homecoming team, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. And unfortunately, this is the perfect time after a long period of not practicing, not being able to play. They get an opportunity to get the get-right game with the Dallas Cowboys, who are unfortunately struggling. But also the Baltimore Ravens have struggled running the ball effectively and efficiently compared to the 2019 season when they were ranked first in big plays. They were ranked second in red zone. Now in the red zone, they're 21st, and in big plays, they're 14th. And they only are averaging 25 points per game. That is not an offense that we have seen out of the 2019, but that is the norm today in 2020.
Yeah, Steve, Dallas's defense has played slump buster for a lot of offenses in the NFL this season. Tonight's going to be no different. Dallas's defense is the perfect get-right game for this Ravens team that has dealt with all sorts of adversity over the last few weeks. Now, the Ravens, they love to run the football, as we all know, and it sets up a down-the-field play-action passing attack. And, well, it just so happens that the Cowboys defense, they're the perfect medicine because they're the worst rushing defense in the NFL, and they're also the worst down-the-field passing defense in the NFL. They give up the most deep passes in the NFL. So if I was looking for that perfect dose of medicine to take to get my offense on track that had been struggling a little bit throwing the football down the field, well, good thing the Dallas Cowboys show up on that schedule.
Yeah, the Cowboys, they are allowing the most points per game in franchise history in the entire NFL, so it feels like now would be a good time for them to get back on track. And Irv, we're going to get to you in just a second. It is dangerously close right now to the Ravens having a now or never situation to get into the AFC wildcard. But over in the NFC East, a bit of a different story, a story that just got a little more interesting this week. Brace yourselves, I'm about to say it. If the season ended today, the Cowboys would be selecting in the top 5 of the 2021 draft, and there's still a chance they get to the playoffs by winning the NFC East. However, the worst division in football provided 2 stunning upsets this week, with the Giants beating the Seahawks in Seattle and Washington handing the Steelers their first loss of the season. So, Irv, come on in here. The Cowboys, they have the second easiest remaining schedule in the entire NFL. So how can the Cowboys pull it off and win the division?
Well, and this is very difficult when you see on its totality what the Dallas Cowboys have done this season. I mean, since Dak Prescott has gone out, they're last in scoring offense and last in scoring defense. So, but that doesn't mean it's all over. And I don't mind you guys talking all that noise about these Dallas Cowboys, but the reality is, if they can sneak a win tonight and beat the Ravens, they have Cincinnati coming up. They have an easy schedule. San Francisco's in there, be a tough game. The Giants, you already beat the Giants. the Cowboys can win 4 of these next 5 games, find some way to win 4 of these next 5, they'll be right there at the end and can probably steal this division at 7-9.
Well, we'll find out tonight which team will get one step closer to playing in the postseason. Irv, maybe it'll be the Cowboys.
Steve.
We got to wait and see for our pick segment who everybody is getting behind tonight. But Des Bryant there arriving at M&T Bank Stadium, hoping to leave tonight with a W, maybe throw in the X.
The Philadelphia Eagles have now made it official. Jalen Hurts will replace Carson Wentz as the Eagles starting quarterback for this week's matchup against the NFC's top seed in the New Orleans Saints. Hurts replaced Wentz in the second possession of the second half in the Eagles' loss to the Packers at Lambeau Field on Sunday through his first career touchdown pass as he gave a spark to the Eagles' offense. And here from Coach Doug Peterson, this quote coming from the Eagles Twitter account here, come to the decision. It will be Jalen. Looked at the whole thing, decided that for this week to look for that spark again to try to get the team over the hump. Certainly fallen on hard times this season, especially as of late welcoming back Tom Pelissero. Mark Ross, of course, knows the Eagles in that NFC East division very well. And Steve Weich back here with us. We talked about this on the aftermath yesterday, Steve Weich. So now let's get right to it. Tom, what can you tell us about the decision to turn to Jalen Hurts here with 4 games to go?
This was really the expected decision once Jalen Hurts took over for Carson Wentz late in that loss to the Packers this past weekend. Now we know that Hurts will get his first NFL start on Sunday against the Saints. Carson Wentz goes to the bench. Doug Peterson gave an exclusive interview to the Eagles website in which he really made clear this was a decision about the now. They are looking for a spark. They do not feel like as an offense they are where they want to be. In other words, this wasn't about the future. This wasn't about what is the plan at the quarterback position in 2021, 2022, and beyond. They have a financial commitment, if not a competitive commitment, to Carson Wentz for at least 2021. There's all kinds of salary cap ramifications if they were to move on from Carson Wentz, either in a trade or by releasing him. But right now, they're going to give Hurts the opportunity. Peterson told PhiladelphiaEagles.com he wants to see development, and they will see whether or not doing some things differently, coming up with a game plan that's tailored to her skill set, might be able to unlock something that they simply have not unlocked as an offense this season with Wentz.
Yeah, Tom, you talked about coming up with a game plan that goes to Hurts' skill set. He gets to start against one of the best defenses in the NFL and the New Orleans Saints. So, the Saints are going to take that as a slight. But this is one way when you've got a mobile quarterback like Hurts, something we used to say about Carson Wentz. This is how you can offset a very bad offensive line. We know the offensive line for the Eagles has been ransacked with injuries. So maybe this is a way to get a mobile player in here who's going to be eager, who's got confidence right now because of the opportunity to offset what's been going on with this offense. And when you're playing the Saints, you're going to have to score points. So there's going to be some pressure on Jalen Hurts to deliver. As far as the long term with Carson Wentz, like you said, Tom, if they cut him or trade him, he's going to hit them on the cap for more than $50 million. He's going to be on this roster next year. They've got to find out if he is willing to compete in an offseason all battle, because the presence of Hurts clearly has not forced him to step up, even in these adverse circumstances. So he's got some work to do, and Hurts has an opportunity. So this can be interesting that his debut, again, comes against one of the best defenses in the NFL.
I think that quote from Doug Peterson was interesting. He mentioned the word spark, right? We saw it in the game against the Packers. He ended up leading them, I think, on the second possession there in the fourth quarter. First career touchdown pass, 4th and 18 to Greg Ward. Then they come out, they make a stop on defense. Special teams turns it around, returns the punt for a touchdown. You're starting to feel it a little bit, right? It starts to become palpable. Then things kind of fizzle. Aaron Jones runs 77-yard score, and it was over. But there was a little bit of that spark there. So, Mark Ross, how do you take a spark and turn it into sustained success?
Well, that spark has to be if Jalen Hurts is that guy. Is he the one they invested the second-round pick in? And that's with every quarterback. You talk about spark. With Carson Wentz, they thought they would get a spark from Carson Wentz. But each week, you saw Carson Wentz lose more and more of his spark, where it came to the point where he just had absolutely no spark at all. He had no confidence, and he was basically unplayable because he had no confidence. Now you put Jalen Hurts in there, you're hoping he provides. If he is that person they thought was worthy of that second round pick, and you have to ask yourself, when they took Jalen Hurts in the second round, did the Eagles front office, did the Eagles brass have concerns about Carson Wentz? There was a lot of controversy when they took Jalen Hurts. Did they know something at that time when they took Jalen Hurts? Moving forward next year, if Carson Wentz is that guy, if he can regain that confidence, will the benching, will the offseason, will that bring him back next year to say, you know what, I can reclaim my starting spot? Or will it be Jalen Hurts proving himself these last 4 games that he is the future of the Eagles organization? But as an organization, you have to trust your eyes, you have to trust the evaluation of film, and not be led by emotions or the financial situation with Carson Wentz. You're looking for the best aspect for the Eagles organization to win football games.
And Mark, based on what you've seen from the tape and the limited amount of playing time that Jalen Hurts has had this season, do you feel like you've seen enough to know that he can, in fact, lead this offense more proficiently than we've seen for Carson Wentz?
There hasn't been enough. Jalen Hurts has a specific skill set, as Steve alluded to, and the Eagles will have to maximize that. Even at Oklahoma and Alabama, he did a lot of running and those type of things. So the Eagles have to incorporate that more so into their offense and take advantage of the ability of Jalen Hurts to run the football. He's not that type of guy that's going to sit in the pocket and throw 30 times a game and you expect to win. You haven't seen enough at this point, but at least this week it'll possibly keep the same off guard a little bit, especially since they have Taysom Hill, who's a very similar type of quarterback to Jalen Hurts. Jalen's a lot more accomplished throughout his career than Taysom Hill.